Hello everybody. How are you? Okay, right. Let's get started. So, for those of you who are joining, hello, thank you. For those of you who don't know me, I'll just do a quick introduction. So my name's Tasha, and I live in Abingdon, which is very close to Oxford, and I work in a school, and I also teach English online, and I have two cats called Giles and Wesley, and they're very cute. I'm sure at some point they will come into this video. And let me tell you, I'm English, I've got to tell you about the weather because that's what we like to do. Let me turn around. Can you see outside? It is miserable. It's grey and it's been raining and it's really windy. And in England at the moment, there's been lots of storms, and very sadly, there's been a lot of flooding. So where the rivers have begun to flood, there's been some flooding, which is really sad. So some people in their homes, if their homes have been flooded. So the weather has been terrible. Thankfully, where I live, it's been okay. Anyway, let me crack on. So first of all, I'm actually going to do something new for this talk to begin with. I'm going to do something called a word of the week. And good question, do you wear wellies? Sometimes. If I'm out walking in a muddy field, I do absolutely wear wellies. Otherwise, I get covered in mud. And please, anyone who has any questions, it can be about the topic of today, or it can be anything that you're interested in learning about, or any English questions you have, just ask me at any time. So before we start talking about today's subject, I wanted to share with you something. Is a resource that I have at my school, and it's called Word of the Week. And I thought I might as well, before I begin my talk, share this Word of the Week with you. So I'm just going to flip my camera around here. And the word of the week is commonality, which is a noun. The plural is commonalities. Noun, the commonality. So what does it mean? The state of sharing features or attributes. Wherever you go, humans all share key commonality. The things that unite us are much stronger than the things that divide us. The explanations show a high degree of commonality in their reasoning. A shared feature or attribute. We discern the commonalities between these writers. So think of the word common. What do we have in common? And commonality is the word of the week. Thank you to the school that I work at for giving me this resource. It's really good. So some synonyms for commonality: correspondence, parallel, congruity, similarity, analogy, I said that funny, analogy, equivalence and resemblance. So there's, just for your information, word of the week, commonality. Things we have in common. Fact of being shared. I've got it there in French and English if you're curious. Just leave it on the screen for a moment. And an antonym, so the opposite of commonality, is difference or deviance. Okie dokie. So that is word of the week. So I thought I could do that each week to just give you some new words. And before I continue chatting away, who's this at my window? It's my cat Giles. Giles! Isn't he handsome? Oh, he's so cute. Should we let him inside? Come on, Giles, in you come. Hello, mate. Oh, can you hear the wind? Goodness me. Okie dokie. Anyway, here we go. This week, I'm going to talk about English sport. Now, this isn't a subject that I know a huge amount about, particularly, but I thought it'd be really interesting. So if you have any questions as I'm going, please feel free to ask. And I think it's appropriate because especially if I've got a lot of your Russian students, so you will also share the English love of football and know about the Olympics, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. So thank you to everyone who's joining. Let's get started. So the English definition of sport, which is a noun, a contest or game in which people do certain physical activities according to a specific set of rules and compete against each other. So let me just give you a bit of background on British sport and culture, and then I've got some things to share with you. Unfortunately, I had some excellent clips to show you, but I can't share them on Instagram because they're YouTube clips. So because of copyright, I can't share them, which is a shame because I had some good ones. And unfortunately, I don't speak Russian, but if anyone can translate, or if you can ask me that question in English, please go right ahead. Okay. So, English sport and culture. I'm just going to do a little bit of reading so you can listen and enjoy. Sport in the United Kingdom plays an important role in British culture. The United Kingdom has given birth to a range of major international sports, including football, obviously, badminton, billiards, bowls, boxing, cricket, croquet, curling, darts, golf, fives, hockey, netball, rugby, tennis, table tennis, snooker, squash and water polo. The standardisation of various sports such as in rowing, dance sports and motorsports occurred in the United Kingdom. So obviously in England, basically we play a lot of different sports, just like we do all over the world. The actual sport of England, like considered the main English sport, is cricket. Although I think a lot of people would argue that football is really the sport of England, but depends on your opinion. And hello everyone who's joining, thank you very much. Okay, so I found this great quote from our old British Prime Minister, John Major, who was Prime Minister I think in the 90s, and he said, in 1995 he said, "We invented the majority of the world's greatest sports. 19th century Britain was the cradle of a leisure revolution every bit as significant as the agricultural and industrial revolutions we launched in the century before." So he's basically saying that that sports are just as important in England as the agricultural revolution, so agriculture, farming, things like that, and industrial revolution, which was factories during the early 1900s. Oh, my history. So the industrial revolution, obviously, when we went from working in farms and fields to having factories and things. So he's saying that sports are just as important. And good question, are you a Londoner? I'm not a Londoner. I'm actually from a place called Crawley, which is just south of London. It's near, if you've ever flown into England, you might have flown to Gatwick Airport. That's my hometown. But I currently live in Abingdon, which is near Oxford. Thank you for the question. Please, if you ask away, anything you want to know, I'm here to answer. So sport is the theme of our day. So The British showed a more profound interest in sports and in greater variety than any rival. This was chiefly due to the development of the railway network in the UK before other nations, allowing for national newspapers and travel around the country far earlier than in other places. This gave pride of place to such moral issues as sportsmanship and fair play. So that is basically saying, thanks to our amazing railway network, which was, you know, it is fantastic in England, very expensive, I might add, but we are very connected by the railway. So you think if people were playing sports, they could begin to set up teams, word could travel easily around the country, so that helped things. And sometimes I have a hard time trying to understand London outskirt people. Yes, sometimes, I mean, I have a Crawley accent, so not super posh or fancy, but I'm glad you can understand what I mean. Thank you. I find it hard to understand people who are from up north. They might have a northern accent. Liverpool, if any Liverpudlians are listening, they won't like my impression, but Liverpool's kind of scouse. They got quite a strong accent, and even I struggle to understand what someone from Liverpool might say. And of course we've got the Scottish, amazing accents, but yeah, can be tricky. So I feel you, I completely understand. I'm just going to read this little bit. I won't be reading this whole talk, just to sort of give you a bit of an English background on sport. And Cockney is hard for you, is it? Yeah, Cockney. My dad is a little bit Cockney, and he has lots of Cockney rhyming slang, you know, down the apples and pears, down the stairs, on the dog and bone, the phone. What else is there? Oh God, there's so many. Maybe I could do a talk on Cockney slang, because that's fantastic. So let me just read a little bit more for you. Cricket became symbolic of the imperial spirit throughout the empire. Football proved highly attractive to the urban working classes, which introduced the rowdy spectator to the sports world. In some sports, there was significant controversy in the fight for amateur purity, especially in rugby and rowing. And is this your Instagram? This is UK Unlimited Knowledge's Instagram. So this isn't my personal account. This is my work account. I do have Instagram, but I haven't used it in about a year, so you won't be able to find me, I'm afraid. Okay, so new games became popular almost overnight, including lawn tennis, cycling and hockey. Women were much more likely to enter these sports than the old established ones. The aristocracy and landed gentry, with their ironclad control over land rights, dominated hunting, shooting, fishing and horse racing. Many modern Olympic sports trace their roots back to Britain. So sports like hunting, shooting and fishing, well, not fishing, but hunting, that was very upper class. That would only have been something that if you had lots of money you could do. So that's not something that we, common folk would be doing at all. And actually fox hunting was banned in my lifetime, I think early 2000s maybe. And thank you for these questions, by the way, love them, keep them coming. I'm happy to answer any questions. What's my point about Brexit? That's a very, very good question. Personally, I'm very sad about Brexit. I think we should have stayed within the EU, but I respect that, the country voted, it's happened, and it is, well, we're in a transition period. So it is very sad, and I think the country is very divided, but it is what it is. as they say, and what can you do? It's happening, and it's happened. Yeah, for me it's very sad, and I think it's sad, especially for young people who might, you know, not realise the consequences and the freedoms that we've experienced, that they may have difficulties, you know, having in the future. Yes. Oh, Brexit. Oh dear. Right. Firstly, the first thing I want to talk about is football. Whoa, football. Football, I mean, worldwide, who doesn't love football? Obviously, if most of you are Russian listening to this, we had the Football World Cup in Russia in 2018. So the English Football League is a league competition featuring professional association football clubs from England and Wales, and it was founded in 1888. So the Football League is the oldest such competition in world football. It was the top level football league in England from its foundation until 1992, when the top 22 clubs split away to form the Premier League. So I've just got some images here, so you can see a lot of the football clubs. Personally, I am an Arsenal girl. Whoa, Arsenal. Only really, to be quite frank, because my dad is a huge Arsenal fan, and in this country, you kind of follow in your dad's footsteps when it comes to football, or your mum. My boyfriend, he's a West Ham man. His dad supports West Ham, so these two clubs are actually quite liked to each other. And obviously you've got all these different clubs here: Chelsea, Manchester United, or Man U. So I just thought I'd show you, because I thought this was quite interesting, just to see the clubs and their different symbols. I don't know what we'd call this actually. Who do you guys support? Anyone? Tottenham? Oh, not Tottenham, I hope. And recommend any good British series, please. I've seen many of them and I really love them. Oh, there are so many good English TV series. It depends. If you like comedy, you could watch The Office. It's a bit cringy, so it's quite hard to watch, but it's a fantastic British comedy series. Oh my god, there are so many. It depends what you like: comedy, action, drama. I did a talk the other week actually on TV series, and I was talking about all the classics like Only Fools and Horses, Monty Python, but I imagine you might have seen or heard of those. I will have a think during this talk about the best series, and I will get back to you. But there are some amazing. At the moment, I'm watching, because I was talking to a student about it actually, I'm watching The Crown, which is all about the monarchy and Queen Elizabeth, and it's very interesting. Drama and suspense. There's a really good, it's a German TV series actually. It's not English, but it's called Dark, or The Dark, or it might just be Dark. That is fantastic. And Luther. Oh, do you mean Luther? I've not seen it, but I've heard Luther is amazing. I've not watched it. Killing Eve. That's a good kind of drama-y-ish show. Hang on, this is bugging me because I watched something really amazing recently. Oh, another great TV show. It's not British, but The Wire. Have you seen The Wire? Oh, Peaky Blinders. Yeah, classic. Everyone loves a bit of Peaky Blinders. I'm just putting into Google British TV shows because there's one that's on the tip of my tongue. I'm thinking of it, but I can't remember what it's called. Where is it? I'm just looking at a list. Oh, a really fantastic TV series that's very dark and quite intense. It's called Black Mirror. Have you heard of Black Mirror? It is a TV series. It's kind of like set in a dystopian future, and it's about technology and maybe the more dangerous side of technology. It is fantastic. If you haven't seen Black Mirror, I'd recommend it, although be prepared, it's quite hard. The Wire, oh yeah, Idris Elba, oh, he's English, he's American, yeah, American, you're right. There's also a really good series called Happy Valley, which is like a police drama. Happy Valley, very, very good, very gritty. And also The Fall, that's another TV series I'd really recommend. And oh, you watched Black Mirror, oh, so good, so dark. I'm still trying to think of the series that I want to recommend that I cannot remember. It's on the top of my, you know, when you it's like in your brain but you can't think what it's called. Let me just have a little look online here. Killing Eve, that's fantastic. Oh, what's it called? Oh my goodness. Sherlock Holmes is always good to watch. Oh yeah, oh no, maybe not that. Let me think. And thank you for these questions. Any other questions, please let me know. Oh, I can't find it. I'll have to come back to you. Yeah, Black Mirror, definitely weird. Definitely. Oh, and you've seen Happy Valley. Sherlock. You've seen all the series. I can't recommend anything else. You've seen all the good ones. But there is so many. I mean, we are lucky in England. Such good TV shows. I will have a think of some more and I will get back to you. I'm just going to continue talking about sports for a little bit, but I will come back to you with some more TV recommendations. So let me just flick the camera around here so you can see. This is Wembley Stadium, and you know, football stadium is what it is. The first evidence of a football match was in 1170, when a guy called William Fitzstephen wrote of his visit to London. After dinner, all the youths of the city goes out into the fields for the very popular game of ball. So football has been played since 1170, probably earlier. And like I say, I had some videos to show you, but unfortunately I can't show you because of copyright on YouTube. But isn't this image fantastic? That is football fans. What I did want to, the video I was going to show you was of some great football chants. So even though I can't show you the video, I'm going to do some football chants for you right now because I found some, they're so funny. What I love about English football really is the sort of camaraderie. Do you know what I mean? The camaraderie, the sense of togetherness. It's a real, especially for people who are working class and they need to let out, you know, some frustrations maybe of daily life. And hello, everyone who's joining, thank you. And the humour, the British humour of singing football chants. And is the new Wembley located at the same place as the former? I don't know. That's a very good question. I don't know is the answer, I'm afraid. I assume it's still in Wembley, but maybe it's moved. So let me give you some football chants that I thought were quite funny. I'm not going to chant them and sing them to you because, you know, nobody wants that. Although they kind of don't work if you just say them. I mean, you guys, you would have heard football chants before. Here we go. Right. Podolski to the left of me, Walcott to the right, here I am, stuck in the middle, Gerard. Doesn't sound as good when it's not being chanted by men and women in a stadium. It's not the same. I wish I could show you guys a video. Let's give you another one. For example, don't blame it on the Biskin. Don't blame it on the Hamman. Don't blame it on the Finnan. Blame it on the Trior. He just can't control his feet. So that's a song. So these football chants, Google it, find some videos. Hi guys, I lost you there for a second. But these football chants are so funny. Oh, look, here's Giles saying hello. Hello, mate. Very handsome. Yeah, these videos are brilliant, and it's just people singing together, being silly, having fun. I mean, obviously the downside of football, there is hooliganism, so occasionally there's fighting, but generally speaking, there's not really much trouble. You don't hear on the news lots of riots and negative press. Let me find out. I'm going to find out where the Wembley Stadium is. Where is the new Wembley Stadium? Because I'm curious now. Is the new Wembley on the same site? Wembley Stadium in the borough of Kent in northwestern London, England, built as a replacement for an older structure of the same name on the same site. So, to answer your question, it's on the same place, and it's the largest stadium in Great Britain when it opened, with a seating capacity 90,000 seats. So I think for those big games they would probably sell out, which is crazy. 90,000 people. Thank you for these questions, guys. This is great. So football, huge. I mean, this gives you an idea the size of the stadium. Obviously, you guys know we had the World Cup in Russia 2018. I think England came fourth. Absolutely devastating. Oh, my cat is just climbing all over. It's desperate to get on Instagram for the attention. Where's your brother? We've got another cat called Wesley. Giles, where's your brother? Can you hear him purring? Oh! I swear, he's such a clumsy cat. So the FIFA World Cup, obviously that was huge. I think England came fourth. Did France win? Oh God, that's terrible. I've forgotten already, but I think they did. Can someone tell me who won the World Cup 2018? So yeah, you guys know what it's like. Thousands of fans, very, very passionate people. Another sport that we play in England, which you probably will have heard of, is tennis, which I'm sure you know. And we have the championships of Wimbledon. So every year, it's the oldest tennis tournament in the world and regarded by many as the most prestigious. And it's been held at the All England Club in Wimbledon, London, since 1877, and is played on outdoor grass. And since 2009, it has a retractable roof, so the roof covers. So Wimbledon, I mean, Wimbledon fever is a crazy time of year. So that's what Wimbledon players wear, all white. So Wimbledon's traditions include a strict all-white dress code for competitors and royal patronage. Strawberries and cream are traditionally consumed in the tournament. In fact, it says, I found this fact out. In 2017, fans consumed 33 tonnes of English strawberries and 2,200 gallons, which is about 10,000 litres of cream. So get that for a bit of traditional English food, 10,000 litres of cream. and 33 tons of strawberries. That is crazy. There's also a drink, I don't know if you guys have had it, Pimm's, which is a traditional sort of a summer drink when people watch Wimbledon. Pimm's, you have like Pimm's, it's alcoholic, Pimm's with lemonade and fruit and mint. So like cucumber slices and orange slices, whatever fruit you want, strawberries. Oh my God, it's so good. I'm dreaming of summertime where I can have a Pimm's watching the tennis. And we have an expression in England, we say it's Pimm's o'clock, which just means it's time for Pimm's. It's a famous expression. It's probably an advertising slogan more than anything, Pimm's o'clock. And please feel free to keep asking me questions. I love answering them. It might not be about sport, it could be about absolutely anything English related or life related. I am happy to answer. Another sport which I wanted to share with you, which you may or may not have heard of, is actually a sport called parkour. Now again, I had a great video to show you that I can't show you, so you'll have to look it up, parkour. And it's basically moving through lands, through your town or wherever you live, jumping off buildings, running around. This didn't originate in England. Parkour actually originated in France. And it's a discipline that uses movement to get from one point to another in a complex environment. So when I was younger and I was at school, parkour, there was a huge craze. So there was a huge movement for people doing parkour, and all my friends suddenly started doing like backflips up the wall, running up walls, jumping from roof to roof. Thankfully no one ever got hurt, but yes, it was a very interesting time, and it's still very popular today. A lot of people do parkour. I think it's popular in Russia, I'm sure it is, and probably globally. And now in England we have these gyms set up to help people practice in a safe environment. So if you imagine this is like a rooftop, and they've got foam, so they teach you how to run and swing and jump safely in the safety of a gym with a professional, which I just think is fantastic, isn't it? What a great idea, setting up a gym so that people can learn to do this stuff safely, and then they can go out in the streets and jump and play about with a bit more practice. Personally, I've never done parkour in my life. A, it terrifies me, jumping from rooftop to rooftop, crazy. And B, I've had a lot of surgeries on my knee, and it would not be good for my knee to be jumping around buildings and buildings. And hello, everyone who's joining, thank you. Please ask me anything you like. We're just talking about sports today. So another English sport, which I'm only recently learning about this, because I've moved to Abingdon, which is near Oxford. I've only just learnt about how important this sport is, and you may guess it's by the River Thames, and it's rowing. Rowing is one of the oldest sports in England. Races between oared galleries were held in ancient Egypt and Rome. The sport of rowing as we know it today began in 1829 with the first Oxford-Cambridge race and the Henley Royal Regatta, which started in 1839. So well over 100 years. The Great British Rowing Team is the high-performance arm of British rowing. Rowing is the nation's most continuously successful Olympic sport, having won a gold medal in every Olympic Games since 1984, and has won 6 Paralympic golds since the sport was introduced to the Paralympic Games in 2008. So, rowing, English people, we love it. Again, probably more upper class. So if you're at Oxford or Cambridge University, you would get allowed to join the rowing club. I mean, the strength to be a rower is phenomenal. It would be an amazing, amazing thing to do, but bloody hard work, I tell you. But also good fun. You can go out on the river, because I live in Oxford now. Well, near Oxford, close enough. You can go out on the river in the summer and you can do boat tours and you can do punting, which is, you know, rowing, but with standing up, you know, like they do on the boats in Venice, or you can get a rowing boat. So if you ever visit Oxford, you must go out on the river on a boat and you will see the rowing clubs practicing morning, noon and night. It is amazing. They work really, really hard. So rowing, another English sport that's a bit of a classic. And I also wanted to briefly talk about the Olympics. Now, the last time we had the Olympics here was in 2012. We built this amazing stadium and this orbital slide, which my mum and dad have been down, and they said it was the funnest thing ever. You walk up to the top and then you go down the slide on a mat, and I don't know why, my mum just loves a slide. She had a great time. So the Olympics happened in 2012 in England. I was actually living in Australia at the time, so I missed a lot of the excitement, but apparently it was such a great time to be in England. There was a real, like a really good atmosphere. People were really excited, really supportive of the English teams. Obviously, we hosted the ceremony, so that was really exciting. I remember when the stadium was being built, my sister's boyfriend at the time lived in that area in sort of Bethnal Green in London. So I remember walking through the construction site as it was being built. And it was a huge, huge project, obviously costing millions and millions of great British pounds, but well worth it. And we probably made a lot of money, didn't we? I'm sure we did. Here's the logo. I'm sure you've seen it. Now, again, I really wanted to show you the opening ceremony of the Olympics. Maybe give me a thumbs up or something if you did see it. It was directed by Danny Boyle, and if you want a great film, Danny Boyle films, he's absolutely fantastic. And the opening ceremony literally had the Queen and the character from the movies James Bond. The actor is called, what's his name? Daniel Craig. So they had Daniel Craig going into Buckingham Palace, getting the Queen, and then it's the footage, it looks like the Queen then parachutes from a helicopter into the Olympic Stadium. It's a great display of English humour. It's very funny, very silly, and it also looks really good. So if you haven't seen the Olympic ceremony, then please go online and watch it. It's fantastic. You can watch, the whole thing lasts for hours, but you can watch the bit with the Queen is particularly good. And hello, those of you who are joining, thank you. Please feel free to ask me any questions that you have about England, or any grammar questions, or anything you're curious about. The final sport I wanted to talk about is cricket. Now, cricket is basically the official kind of sport of England. Isn't that a fantastic picture? The sky. Well happy. So the England cricket team represents England and Wales in international cricket. Since 1997, it has been governed by the England and Wales Cricket Board, having been previously governed by Marylebone Cricket Club since 1903. The first recorded incidence of a team with claim to represent England comes from 9th of July 1739, when an all-England team, which consisted of 11 gentlemen from any part of England, exclusive of Kent, played against the unconquerable county of Kent and lost by a margin of a very few notches. So cricket, been around since 1739, possibly longer. Probably the most famous would be the Ashes, right, with cricket with England and Australia, our big rivalries. India, also another nation well known for its love of cricket. That is basically all my knowledge on cricket. Unfortunately, it's not something that I know a huge amount about. But people love it. You go, if in the summer, you can go to the cricket clubs and you can watch people play cricket. And I have to say, that's such a nice thing in England when the sun is shining. Everyone is out playing football or cricket, really. If you go to a field, people are just playing games. They love it. Although, you know, with technology, maybe people are staying in a bit more. What do you call a sport on horses and riders with clubs? I think you're thinking of polo. Good question. Polo. You can also play water polo. You can play it in the water, obviously, without the horses. But yeah, that's called polo. Also, horse racing. That is obviously huge in England as well. Oh my God, how could I forget to talk about horse racing? Every year we have something called the Grand National. I'm just going to get up some pictures for you. The Grand National is a huge racing event, and it happens. It's going to be in April, so in the spring. Let me show you some images. No problem. Please ask me any questions that you have. So the Grand National is probably the one time of year I gamble. Normally we put a very cheap bet, so a £1 bet on the horses. My family, we like to just pick the horse with the best name, so we tend to choose a horse with a silly name, and yeah, and then you bet on the horses. It's a huge event, and everyone gets very dressed up. If I typed into Google Grand National ladies, you will see what I mean. People get very dressed up. It's lovely. They often wear hats, and yeah, it's just it's become very popular even as the years go on. And everyone has to wear a fascinator or a hat. I'm not sure where that tradition comes from. And the royalty often go to the races as well. Yeah, so the Grand National, fantastic, good fun, really recommend watching it. And obviously another sport that I haven't mentioned that's quite a traditional English sport would be rugby, which again is pretty big here, but I mean, people love it. People love rugby. Oh, excuse me, my goodness, it's only 5:45 and I'm yawning. Oh dear, I need to wake up. Please let me know if you have any questions. That basically concludes what I wanted to talk about when it comes to English sport. For those of you who are watching live, can you tell me any sports that you love and what you like to do? What's your favourite? For me, I don't really play sports in a team. That's something that I think is a bit of a shame about England. Tends to be once you leave school, not many people are part of, it's not hugely common to be part of a team or a sport. I mean, obviously people do play football, they play netball, basketball. These teams, you know, people do play in teams together as adults, but generally speaking, it's not huge. Other than we would say a kickabout in the park, meaning, you know, playing football in the park, having a kickabout. We don't really do a lot of team sports, or it's not hugely common in my opinion. And you like to do yoga. I love to do yoga as well, and that's something I really enjoy. Do you do yoga at home, or do you go somewhere? When I lived in Canada, I used to go to this yoga teacher, and it would only be 5 of us in the class, and it was free. It was heaven. Oh, heavenly. And good question. What sports do children learn to play at school? That's a very good question. Kids tend to do, they do football, rugby. They'll do some cross country, so like long distance running. They'll do netball, basketball, hockey. And then they play games, which you may have heard of, like dodgeball and bench ball. So if the weather's really miserable, they might play games inside if they're lucky. And you do yoga at home and in a studio. Perfect. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, so kids do all sorts of different sports at schools. There's also like football clubs and things. So, you know, after school clubs, they might do football and play as a team. You also do things like I guess you'd call it, what would you call this? You would do things like long jump, high jump, you know, like those Olympic, I'm going to have to look that up. There must be a word for it. So you do like once a year, every school will have something called a sports day, which is really, really good fun. And the sports day is basically, the school will go to like a gym in the area, and they'll have a big competition, and the schools are generally split up into different houses, meaning they have, you know, they're sort of categorised in your school. You have your like tutor groups and things, and you compete against each other, and it's really good fun. And you do things like high jump, and long jump and hurdles and all that kind of stuff. So I'm just looking that up. And are after school clubs free? Yes, they are free. I imagine if you were part of an after school club where you might need to buy your own equipment. So if you're playing football, you would need to buy your own football boots and shin pads and, you know, uniform. But the after school clubs would be free. Yeah, good question. And I guess, yeah, the sports I'm thinking of, like high jump, long jump, we just call them track and field events. So I was always very good at high jump because I had long legs. But apart from that, not particularly sporty, I'm afraid. Yeah, it's good fun at school. You do a variety of sports. If you're lucky, you get to do things like trampolining. If you went to a public school, which is our word for private school, you might have a swimming pool. In primary school, so age 5 to 11, you go to a swimming pool at like your local leisure centre, and you do swimming lessons as part of growing up. So that's all free for young children. And so all kids will learn how to swim, which is obviously an important life skill. So that's good. Any other questions? Please feel free to ask. I'm very, very happy to answer them. And just so you can see, that there's my other cat. That's Wesley. That box is a delivery box, and we've kept it up because cats love a box. He's eating. He'll come over for a cuddle in a minute. Yeah, so I mean, sport in England, it is a hugely popular to watch the football. You might watch it around your mate's house with a few beers. Yeah, I would say football is the biggest one, although people love, depends what you like, doesn't it? Depends what you grow up with, what you like to do in your spare time. I think I miss one sport that I really miss. I really loved playing basketball at school. I bet I could find a basketball group in Oxford maybe to join. My brother, he is part of a football team with his work. So some jobs you can obviously start your own football team. And my brother's football team, they are called Manchester United. So not Manchester United, but Manchester United. And it's a play on the words, a play on the team Manchester. And it's because my brother is very hairy chest, Manchester United. Great team name, I thought. So he got sponsored through his work, and they then provided like the football kit for them to wear, which was great. People in England as adults, generally speaking, they tend to join gyms when they get older, so not as much team sports but more individual fitness. My friend Jenny, she is part of a running club, which I think you pay for. It's a very small amount, and you go running as a group, and she loves it because it's a really good community thing to do, because you run with people, anyone can run, old, young, fat, thin, rich, poor, anyone can run in the streets for free. So she's part of a running club and she absolutely loves it. And actually that reminds me, another thing I should tell you about is we have something, I don't know if you guys have it, but we have something called Park Run, and it's so lovely. It's where you go to your local park. It's completely free to sign up. You get given a barcode, like something that you'd scan in a supermarket, a barcode, and you can run. So normally it's a 5-kilometre run. So you run for 5 kilometres and your barcode gets scanned and it tells you your time. So how long it took you to run 5 kilometres. They do it, I'm going to show you, in my hometown of Crawley. I used to do park run at Tilgate Park, where there's a lake. Let me just show you an image. It's, one of the nicer places in my hometown. Here we go. So you can run around the lake, and it's really pretty. And you get hundreds of people. If I put in Tilgate Park Run, there we go, comes up. You'll see there's hundreds of people running together, and it's all of these people are volunteers, which is fantastic. So they volunteer to do the park run, to make sure everyone's safe, to make sure you keep going, and you can run round and get your time and try and improve each week. Yeah, so that's all across the country. So if you want to do a park run, you can literally sign up and you could go anywhere in the country. It's normally once a week, normally I think on a Saturday morning, and you can go run for free with a group of people. So yeah, so there's some really nice community sports activities in England, but I do think we could be better at playing sports, team sports as adults. Wow, that's basically our talk done for today, but please, if you have any questions, I'll stay on for a couple more minutes. So if there's anything you want to ask me about, please go right ahead. And for those of you who watch this not live, thank you for watching. It's always nice to do these talks. I really enjoy them. Also, if there's if there's a subject that you're interested in hearing about, please let me know, and we can do that. So far, I've done a talk on British education, British TV series and films, sports, and a few others. So if there's anything that you're interested in learning about English culture, please let us know. Other than that, if no one has any more questions, I'm going to say goodbye. Thanks again for listening. Thanks again for listening, and enjoy your holidays. I understand it's a holiday day today in Russia, so have a great time celebrating, and I will speak to you all soon. Thanks again. Bye. Peace and love. Bye.